Presentation. Okay, now that part's done. Doesn't look like we're going to have anybody hopping on for our virtual side. Okay, so we'll just hop into the presentation then. I'm just going to skip by that since we don't have anyone on virtually. So once again, we're here at the Blue Ridge today. September is creeping away, and before you know it, it's all going to be gone. It's hard to believe. It just seems like January was yesterday. So here we are again, getting towards the fall. All right, so just a few words from Lewis. Lewis is our executive director. He has kind of coined a new phrase this month. It's called a relay race. So everybody familiar with the relay race? You know, it kind of starts with a baton. You got to have a baton and you got to pass it off. So we like to kind of use the analogy of the fact that the notification center, we start with the baton. You know, we start out the race with the baton. The call comes in, we take the locate information or the excavation information, and then we pass that baton, and it on average goes to about 6 different utilities at any given time. So once we hand it off, we have to trust that that person's going to do their job. So in the beginning, we trust that you as excavators are providing us the right information. So once we collect it, then we hand it off, we send it to the member utilities. Piedmont's using Heath, so it goes through Piedmont and then to Heath. So all these batons are being, you know, handed off. And at the end of the day, we hope eventually Heath, you guys will put the positive response in correctly. And then the baton gets passed off again. Guess what? It gets passed back to you as the excavator, check the positive response. So that's the whole analogy, is that we hope everybody does their part and we all cross the finish line, get the work done on time, and we're good to go. Does that happen all the time? Absolutely not. So that's why we're here today with these UCCs, communicating, you know, getting to know each other, getting phone numbers, faces, all of that. Second thing is the CGA dirt report. It is about to be released. All that information was placed by March, and it kind of runs in line like the pipeline operators. They have to provide their data by the end of March for the prior year. Damage data too is the same way. When you put in damage tickets, we take that data from North Carolina and we upload it to CGA. So that's our national organization. They're going to look at all of these damages, dirt reports, and then they're going to provide analysis. Who are the top offenders? What type of work is causing the most damage? And right now, I can tell you fiber is probably one of the biggest projects out there. So, so we'll get a lot of data out of that upcoming. The other thing that's going on within our world is board nominations. NC 811 has a 21-seated board, and all the stakeholders across the board have a seat. And so we're doing nominations for that. I do know that one of the gentlemen with MetroNet, George Kemp, has applied for one of the seats. Now that seat is currently filled, but you know, who knows? I mean, he may win that seat over the person that gets that seat. So we're taking nominations for that. And once again, all the stakeholders across the board are represented. I spoke about Tyler. Hopefully he will be on the 24th. We'll kind of get him started. Typically this is not his area, but doesn't mean we won't bring him by and introduce him to you. So or if you're working the western part, you may meet him as well. Fall is on the way, not for the next 2 days, but I did look at the weather on the way up. Looks like we're going to get some 70s sometime a little later this week, but today and tomorrow I think it's 90s. So stay cool. Stay safe and stay hydrated. All right. This is real important to us. I know for pipeline operators, this is, you know, you guys, this is your love language, because what happens is PHMSA looks at our program on the enforcement side. So if you don't remember or don't know, there is an enforcement piece in the law. Had not been for years, but when the law was rewritten back in 2014, Enforcement did come into play. PHMSA, each year they ask for, like, how many cases has the board heard? How many, what kind of training? How many folks have been required to have training? How many fees have been, billed out, sort of, information like that. So that, from all the information we provide to the Utility Commission and then they send it on, they have deemed us adequate. So that's good. So that means that they're not going to come in and run our program and, give us a hard time about our enforcement. In January, Lewis rolled off the board and I was able to roll onto the board as the representative for NC 811. So I've really, really enjoyed that. I've had the opportunity to take my hat off from the 811 side and sit down and be able to review cases based on information, based on the law. So any complaints that come in need to be based on the law. Just a reminder, anyone making complaints, you cannot make a complaint against a locator because they're not named in the law. You would make a complaint against the member operator because they have that responsibility. The last meeting that we had about 19 cases. Of those, some of the stuff that we're seeing is pipeline operators are putting a lot of the cases in. I think, you guys are getting some pressure to really, call some of these offenders out that are just consistent with no tickets, no locate tickets, but then they're hitting gas lines. And it's, it's very evident that a lot of this is happening. So those are pretty cut and dry cases. They're definitely culpable. They see the gas meters. They know that gas is there. It's a very dangerous product. So those are pretty easy peasy. The other item that we've noticed is electricians. We're seeing electricians that are driving ground rods. They're not getting locates. And clearly there's a gas meter. And so they're being called out. So we're trying to educate that sector of the population too as well. Hey guys, don't forget, you do need a ticket to drive that ground rod. So we're adequate on that. And then just want to remind you folks, we've heard around the state some issues on this. And if you guys remember back a couple of years ago when that Durham incident, happened up in Durham, and then we had obviously loss of life. One of the things that happened was they called the damage ticket in to NC 811. The thing that didn't happen first was the 911 call. So just a reminder, anytime there's a product release, 911 is always the first call. So the law says you have to make 2 calls, one to the facility owner, one to NC 811, and then it's also had a change. If you have a product release, 911. So, and that's not just gas. I mean, it's any huge amount of product release, call 911. Make sure that you've got support there to help that situation, first responders. Call your facility operator. Always reach out to them first when you damage. We have our app that has damage notification, has all the phone numbers on there. We try to keep that updated for you. My time on the utility side, I worked for a pipeline operator. I spent hours, days keeping up, trying to track those contacts. And so now NC 811 makes that very efficient for you. So I encourage you to utilize that app. And then at the end of the day, when the dust settles, call NC 811, report the damage. What we do is we send out that notification. And from that notification, we'll say, hey, come check your utilities. You could be, there could be an issue. Otherwise, 911, facility owner, and then NC 811. All right, so we've got a new product that's coming out with NC 811. So our software, and I'll just give you a little quick history. Our software, it was a software vendor that had written, all the notification software for our center. And then over the years, the company, we ran the risk of losing the ability to be able to kind of manage what was happening within our software. So ourselves and 7 other call centers purchased the software. So we own the software, the one call centers. And so over a period of time, with leadership and change, we've now come to the end of life with our old software. So folks that are using WebTMS, and what that is a program that locators use to track their tickets, put their positive response in, and then that reports back into the system. So the end of life of that program is going dead October of next year. So we're letting folks know you can transition over. This product is very high tech. It's got a great visibility to it that you can kind of see there. You can do some risk assessment to kind of determine, is that particular ticket going to affect a critical facility? So there's a lot of bells and whistles in it. And so Northfield will be the main contact. They're our software vendor that we own, and this product's called Locator Logic. So anyone that's currently on WebTMS, Northfield is reaching out to, offering them the option to convert. Now, if we have someone that decides, hey, I can't afford this maybe, or, maybe the costs are a little small entity, they can still receive their tickets through email. They get their tickets through the email, they would print them out, and then they go into our system and post positive response. But once again, this is a web-based locate ticket management system. It's very high tech, and we're pretty proud of it. So we're excited about, moving to the next step in the next generation. Any questions on that? I don't think it'll probably, affect you guys because you guys have your own ticket management system, but for the smaller entities that use our WebTMS, it will. All right, so the next slide, it seems like it's forever 811 day, but I wanted to kind of give you an idea of what we did for 811 day. So we work really closely with both Dominion and Piedmont Natural Gas. We've got a lot of different partners that we work with. This is out in Gastonia at the Honey Hunters. We partnered with Dominion, so we had a table out there, and then that's my mini X. I don't know if you guys have seen that. The mini excavator is what we brought into our fleet to educate, and you guys can, request that we bring it out. But it works just like a regular excavator. The kids love it. It'll hold up to about 280 pounds. This is at Durham Bulls. We were out there educating them, and then we ended up at Bowman Gray. About 14,000 folks that night. We were out there with Piedmont. We did commercials. WCNC, there's Keith Napier with Piedmont. We were able to have him do a TV. We did radio commercials, paradigm training, social media postings. We did a governor proclamation. So all these things to highlight 811 day. Of course, this one's, a whole lot smaller than what we consider our April Safe Digging Month, but nevertheless, it was a busy day. So all the things that are coming up, obviously Safety Sam, he is still around the state, very active. And once again, just want to remind you, we do have a mascot that supports. All of our branding is based off of him, but our football games are starting. We will be out October 27th at NC State supporting that. And Safety Sam will be out there. I'll probably have the Mini X too for the kids. And then we do have a Facebook page, Safe Digging Sports. So if you don't follow it, I would encourage you to. If you love any kind of sports, racing, we also iRace, football. Piedmont supports us at, it's called the North Carolina Football Club, but it's soccer up in Cary. We do that, Durham Bulls. So anything sports, it's out there on that Facebook page. And I've been doing some podcasts with some of our iRacers and But if you have someone you think's interesting and you would think we'd want to talk to them, please let me know. I'd love to do an interview with them. So just want to remind you of that. So now let's get to a little bit of our ticket volume. Grab some of the numbers. Tons of stuff I brought with me. See if I can find that page. It's not in there. Oh Lord, we've had some interesting numbers. Yes, okay. So what we thought we'd do these last 2 months, kind of give you a different look. We wanted to kind of put it in a bar chart to give you a visual so that you can see August of this year compared to last year, the volume was up 13.8%. I mean, that is tremendous when you think about the volume of tickets. Last month, 239,263 tickets. That's a lot of tickets. The year before, 210,000, 191. So that ended up at 13.8% increase. Overall, we're already at 1,683,000 tickets just through the end of August. Last year, we were a little over 2 million, and we're definitely going to exceed that. We're kind of thinking maybe about 8% above. In my 11 years, every year, it's gone up and up and up and up. There's not been a time where it's kind of been decreasing. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we're at compared to the same time last year. So what about transmissions? Transmissions, they're staying pretty steady too, 9.5% last month, and overall 3%. Transmission-wise, 1,272,985. That's just for 1 month. Okay. So just to remind you, every time a transmission goes out, the members have to pay for it. Okay. So the service is free to the public. It's free for all of us. But at the end of the day, we want to manage all of this because 1, it helps locators meet their demand. 2, it protects the facilities. And 3, ultimately, it reduces our costs, hopefully, on our utility bills. Transmissions for the end of the year, we're at 9,084,000. So last year, we were all but close to 13 million transmissions. So I like to do just an average, $25. I mean, you're talking $325 million. And that's a low. That's low. That's probably not even a quarter of the cost, what it truly costs when you have the overhead and everything else that's involved. So it's definitely a busy time, that's for sure. So now let's kind of jump into a snapshot of where we're at by the county. Alexander, not a tremendous amount of work going on, but you can see there's definitely a 35% increase on new ticket volume compared to the same time last year. 3 hours, they're still staying pretty consistent. Updates, 90 of those for the ticket volume. Overall, 528 tickets that came through for that month. Year to date, you can see here the overall new tickets are slightly up 1.4%. The good thing is typically when 3 hours are down, that's good. That means locates can be managed by, the locates can be managed by the locators. When the 3 hours go down, that means they're responded by those 3 working days. Total tickets 3235 altogether, 7.1%. But here's probably where you want to rubber meets the road. Hey, where's it going? Where's it happening at? Taylorsville, 254. Bethlehem, 121. So I pulled the top 20, just the top 20 folks that were doing work. And I saw out of Energy United had 73 tickets that they done last month. Road safe traffic system. So I'm assuming they're putting up signs. LKN Underground, I assume they're still working for Charter Spectrum, right? And then Bigham Cable. Bingham's still in Hickory, right? Aren't they still located in Hickory? Okay. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. I was thinking about stopping by there before I left today.
Should.
Oh, okay, good. I'll be glad to. Utility lines construction, 24, City Hickory, you guys had 22. And then they kind of, dwindled on down from there. So not a tremendous amount of work, but Energy United doing majority of the work, a lot of pole changes, a lot of underground overhead stuff. So that's kind of what I saw on that end. Any questions on that, Alexander? Maybe. Okay. Oops, went the wrong way. Sorry, my bad. Okay, so Catawba. The bulk of where everything's happening, 22, 23 for new tickets. So that is definitely increase, 37.6%. Oh, you see the 3 hours jump up. And then you see the updates jump up. So that means there's either continued projects or there's just dumping of update tickets in the system because they can't get the demand met. 35, 31 overall for the tickets, 33.8% increase. Year to date, we're around 23,174. Once again, we are seeing an increase in the updates, increase in the 3 hour. Also in new tickets as well. So where do we end up with the bulk of them? As you see here, Hickory 1369, Newton 424, Cheryl's Ford 563, Conover 405.
Can you tell on the 3 hour tickets, for those general construction or maybe repairs mostly?
No, 3 hours are when the ticket has not been responded to within the 3 working days. That's when you request the 3 hour, or you see evidence of a facility. So when I pulled the top 20 for Catawba, LKN Underground was doing the bulk of them. Does that sound right for you guys? 299 of those, a lot of buried drops, tons of buried drops. Miller, I think they're doing work for you guys. In fact, I saw a truck come by me and I thought maybe it was coming here, but no luck. 231 tickets. So you guys got a lot of new services and stuff, I guess Miller's doing up here in this area. Utility Network Solutions. They're the ones working for MetroNet. Are y'all having any issues at all? Any issues with their contractors?
Not really. It's going pretty good for us.
That is great news. That is great news because they're in other areas of the state and they struggle with some of their contractors. Piedmont Utility Group, I guess they're still doing work for Blythe, which is ultimately doing the DOT project.
There's not a lot going on down there right now.
Yeah, I know.
If anything, they're probably keeping those tickets open for waiting for the state.
Well,
maybe pass the job. I don't know. I go that way about every day. There's been very little utility activity by them down there in the last good while.
We have spent multiple hours on Piedmont Utility trying to get them to reduce their update tickets and stuff, and they're just a hard nut to crack. And so the only other options we have is trying to reach out to our utilities to get them to help us do that. And DOT, sometimes it's, a little tougher to get them involved in that. So I may reach out to Blythe on them again since it's showing they're working directly for them. Let's see, I got Bigham on here. Obviously they had 117 tickets for Charter Spectrum. I do remember, and this has been several years back when I met with them, one of the biggest items of interest when I went in to meet with them was the fact that they were, I think, placing their tickets, asking for both sides of the road, and they clearly had maps showing where they were going. Still the same?
That's never going to change.
Okay,
Go ahead,
all right.
that.
Okay, I'll stop by. I'll stop by and see if we can work on. And then, Mr. Neil Grading, we have you down here, 76 tickets.
Hey, it's pretty good, I guess.
76 tickets.
Okay.
Are y'all doing okay? I mean, are y'all having any issues with Neil Grading? So once again, are you keeping tickets updated when you're not doing work?
Could be.
Could be.
And I'll tell you why that happens. Let's see, on a major project, might be a building project. Owner's trying to get a CO. Found out in the past that you never know, fire marshal might come in at the last minute and say, oh, we gotta put a fire out right here before y'all can open the building. It's gotta be done before tomorrow. So you find a lot of little things, electrical, mechanical, all sorts of things related to that, but other things. So, and some things we have potential to do something there at any moment. And I talked to Tammy about that one time, and I cut a bunch of them out. I used to call in
Yeah.
all the tickets,
Yeah,
and I don't do as many as I used to now. But then I cautioned our folks. I said, we need to go through the book every periodically
yeah.
and say, hey, jerk that page out, don't renew it. But sometimes I get complacent, just renew.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm trying to keep them up to not charge any tickets that we don't think something's gonna happen very shortly with.
And I appreciate that you're being honest about it, because sometimes you're being pressured by someone else, and I get that. But when you take times, thousands of contractors that do the same thing, that's how the system gets so inundated. And that's why the locators get so frustrated, and then they say, see ya, I'll go find me another job. And I mean, there's just many different things, but the one thing that I found the best resource is if you're doing your tickets through RTE. Are you doing them through RTE when you were putting
She's
them
still
in?
calling them in, I think.
Still
She calls
calling
them
them in.
doesn't she? She calls them in.
Well, so there's a couple things that you can do. Even if you do call it in, whenever that ticket, if you think you can let that ticket just lapse, that ticket stays in the system for 90 days. So if you think, okay, they've still got some work to do, and keep it in your book, I guess, so to speak, or however you organize it, but then come back, call it in and say, I just need to update it. As long as nothing has changed on the ticket, we will allow you to update it.
Within 90 days.
Within 90 days. Now, if you're updating it and the ticket's still valid, you can do it through Update Lite. Okay, that little quick feature, you can do it on the app. But otherwise, let the ticket just lapse, let it die, let it sit there. 2 weeks down the road, you're progressing, you're watching the project, you're seeing it's coming up, then put it back in. And then that, because every time you update it, they still got to mark it. They still got to go out there. They still got to check it. They may still see that everything's still good. They'll check it okay and move on. But it's just redundancy of time and effort. And I kind of equate it to just a baseball game. If you know the rules of the game and know how to play it really good, we all come out as winners. So that's kind of the ultimate goal in all of it, is to teach you these tricks of the trade. And in the end, it will help you because it's going to help them. And then they're just not inundated. And when you do call needing them, they can reach you right then instead of, well, I'm sorry, I got 50 other things to do. So, and I know that sounds great in an ideal world, but every little bit of communication helps. But you do have that option to let it die, go back in within the 90 days and update that ticket.
You're still under the standard three-day limit
Yes.
unless you request something.
Yes, it is
They
still
may not
under,
happen that
it
way.
is still under the 3-day, because it's not considered an emergency and it's not a rush.
The only problem we found with those is the contractor thinks, well, as an update, you can run right back out and respray it real quick, but technically you waited 90 days, it's a new ticket. I mean, it's an update, but it's a new ticket.
Right,
Because the
it's
pace will be
but an
gone.
update's still a 3-day ticket.
Yeah,
So-
some contractors think, oh, it's an update. The more,
Yeah.
you can mark it quick because it's an update for you, but
No, an
standard
update,
update we normally can, but once it goes that
No,
far.
you should, well.
I mean, if we work with the contractor and it's an
And
ongoing
and you're
job.
saying you kept the
we-
marks
Yeah, we
fresh?
keep the marks fresh, so you can hit it quick.
Yeah.
See, that's our issue too, is some of these projects will bounce from one section to another section, then come back to this other section, do a 50-foot section or do a 100-foot section. And then go to another part of town
Well,
and then come back, but it's the same job.
Same job.
so the best I can tell you on those is y'all communicate,
Yeah,
stay ahead. From a big, overall perspective, if you can reduce updating them tickets, like you're saying, just pecking away. Because every time you peck away, every utility gets charged for it. And you're not doing any work. I mean, you're doing it so that when you do need to jump on it, you can, but it has cost so much money for that utility. And even at the LRPC meeting yesterday, listen, I said to these member utilities, because a lot of, and I'll just use the scenario, the excavator works for the member. You gotta put, I'll just use you as a telco. You gotta have this drop in the ground. I'm gonna give it to you and it's gotta be in the ground in 10 days. Okay, so giving it to me, I got 3 days, I gotta wait for the ticket to be marked. Ideally, depends on which county you're in, Mecklenburg or Wake, you might be 4 to 5 days. I mean, that's ideal. So therefore, you've got limited time to get that facility in the ground. And we hear a lot of contractors, say, look, if I don't get this in the ground, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose the contract. Therefore, I'm losing, my job. I'm losing jobs for other people. So you see, it's just a constant chasing each other's tail. So that's why we're trying to help you guys manage the projects, communicate, stay ahead of each other. What can they do? Like you said, maybe when you originally mark it, put some offsets out there, maybe get some maps, get copies of maps, share stuff, because it only helps you in the end in situations like that. It's just a suggestion. If you can do it, we would appreciate it. If you can't, I understand. Sam, do y'all have any concerns? Piedmont?
No, we're actually, like you said, especially on our conversion services, we do limit the contractors to 10 days. So that is a good example of something that could happen.
So I've begged the members, hey guys, think about this. We, a couple years ago, it wasn't that bad, but now everywhere I go, how many are y'all having problem getting paint?
Not here recently, but there was some times where.
Okay, I can tell you, I'm hearing it. There's problem getting blue paint. There's problem when you get the red paint, it's turning pink. I'm hearing yellow is fading towards white.
It comes out pastel white, like it's barely.
So that's dangerous. That's scary. There's the product itself. I'm hearing not doing projects because you're not sure you're going to have the meters. So why start the project if you don't have the supplies? So that on top of everything is just it is truly, as we say, it's a perfect storm. It is a perfect storm. So everybody, please be patient with one another. The mental health is just, and I know we all laugh and we all don't want to think about this, but I was at a NUCA meeting and that was one of the biggest topics was mental health. Because everybody's frustrated. They can't get nothing done and they're just to the point, they just want to throw their hands up. But just be aware of, what your employees are dealing with day in and day out, stressful jobs. They mentioned one guy that had come in, had sat down and thought, well, had he been under the influence? He was like shaking, trying to run a piece of equipment. They got him off to the side, started talking to him, come to find out his wife had taken his kids and left. And so here this man's trying to run a piece of equipment, a dangerous piece of equipment, dealing with, all of that. So I said all that to say it's a perfect storm for everything. Supply chain, employees dealing with stressful situations, can't get locates done on time. Everybody, if everybody tries to do their part, then just maybe, we can come back and say, wow, y'all need to model Blue Ridge because they're doing it right. So, all right, I didn't mean to get on my soapbox, but there's just so many things going on. All right, and over in Lincoln County, 2237. Once again, they've got some, this is kind of interesting here because typically when you see updates higher, you typically correlate the 3 hours being higher, but this one's a little bit of a shift. So maybe those are true updates of work going on in Lincoln County. So new tickets, 1533. Overall, they've had 16,207 tickets for the year so far. And then they're actually at a decrease compared overall from last year. I see the new tickets were up from last year. So where are their tickets coming from? Denver. That's a lot of tickets going on right there. Spectrum, that once again, the LKN Underground, they had 248. E&G Landscaping. Are y'all having any issues with them? Does that ring a bell over in Lincoln? They're working for Shea Homes. Yeah.
They call me before there's even a house put up. And no foundation, no nothing. They call it in landscape and take us in.
So those are the type ones that we're trying, like yesterday, we spent some time with a plumbing company and they're working for all these multiple builders and the same thing, they're just trying to keep a ticket active so that when they do get the opportunity to go out and work or when they're called to do the work, but those type situations truly bog the system down. So I will, I'll reach out to them. So do you think for the most part that, the work is not active right now?
I would say for a good bit of them, yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll take a look at that. Ansco looks like AT&T's in the area doing a bunch of work, 160. And then I think Miller's doing some work for you guys too over there, 138. AT&T, utility lines, of course, they're always doing work for Duke. Fuller and Company Construction, does that ring a bell?
Fuller.
Fuller.
Yeah, they're the ones that were doing the project over, it's over on like Adams Street, Catawba, hospital.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
same group that was doing that.
Yeah, it was a sewer utility project. sewer work.
Utility, okay, gotcha. Any problems on that one? Anything I need to? They're pretty good, okay. And T&M Solutions, I didn't look up to see who they were working for. They do Spectrum, okay, Barry drops and stuff, and then Rutherford EMC, and then there's some big cable over there too, so. That is kind of the bulk of it for them.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so where are the damages? Of those reported, 20 were reported for Catawba, 3 for Alexander, and only 1 for Lincoln. So once again, reporting damages are mandatory. I want to remind our members, it's important for you guys too to report them. If y'all were digging on your own facilities, please report those. So what I pulled some numbers just to kind of see, and this has to do with the updates. When I said overall, out of all the tickets that come in, 30% are update tickets. Well, in your county here, well, just in Catawba, actually it's at about 29.54%. Now this was last month. 3,521 tickets, of those 1,040. So that's almost 30%. Lincoln County, they were at 23, almost 24% were all. And then Alexander was 17. But then we got some of these, smaller counties where Bladen County, Surrey County, they were 66% of all their tickets were updates, which is kind of crazy. All right, so there's a snapshot. Our underground damage prevention review board, that meeting is coming up on the 18th. I'm not sure how many cases that we do have for that, but we always, this year, we've been meeting at the event center. Feel free, there's a phone number. You can go on our website, click over, and you can dial in and listen to it. I would encourage you, just so you can kind of get an idea of what we're doing. We just held the state UCC meeting September, and the next one will be in November, and we'll update that. As far as anything major that came out, the next conference will be May the 3rd through the 5th of next year, and that's going to be at Harris Cherokee. So I hope you guys will put that on your calendar and be a part of that. We're really working on some good speakers for that. Locator training, free locator training. We will have that. They're looking at possibly 2 groups, so that'll be there as well. And then we held the LRPC meeting yesterday, and we talked a little bit about that. Once again, all our calendars, they're on your app, they're on the website. We have that NCUCC website too with calendars, so please find a place to go communicate with each other. Well, it's that time of the year. Storms, of course, we've had them all summer, but with hurricane season, just want to remind you to clear out an area for storm shelter. I'm thankful we have a basement, and so we kind of keep an area there, armed and ready. We have flashlights and batteries. Always keep your cell phone fully charged, because when you move over to this other side, where it says weather radio, there are apps that you can download to your phone so that you can kind of keep up with what's going on. Food and water. At this point, I think we're food and water, not only for storms, but just with the whole situation of our country, the food supply chain, and I'll just, just say, praise the Lord, they didn't shut the railway system down, because we would have been in a fix. So I'm thankful for that. Pet supplies, don't forget that. A fan, yes, you gotta have batteries for it. Generator. I told my husband keep that generator because I love him wearing his CPAP. So I like to still get good rest. That's the best thing since sliced bread, I'm telling you. Other than, I guess maybe a ventilator, CPAP's the next best thing they ever invented. Any of you men on a CPAP? No? Well, I will say there's a lot of women on them too. All right, and then finally, school buses are back in session. Obviously, they're back. And there is, I know it's kind of hard to see down there, but you can, DOT's got a great video about school bus safety. So if you need a safety moment, go out there, grab it. And I'll put this presentation out on the website and you can grab it. So once again, Tammy's your gal here. Howard's out east, and Parrish, he's kind of the Greensboro 295. And then Steve does all of our social media and our presentations and stuff. So we're here to serve you. Whatever we can do, let us know. Are there any projects going on? I'll start with you, Sam. What's going on with Dominion?
We've had some in Alexander County. Glad we didn't make the list. Actually had one last month. I think we talked about it. Ran a new gas service to the Alexander County was courthouse. Had a little snafu there. We actually cut the line for 911. It wasn't located. It was a partial damage. They still had some 911 calls, but just want to reiterate, they didn't know it was there. All private utilities are, deemed for the owner, but we got that one done, and we've got some other projects, but not a lot in Alexander County.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
that one sort of took us in. A lot of our main lines in Alexander County, because we were lacking right of way, they were a directional board in. So the line that we tied into was about 8 feet deep. So we had to cut a great amount of asphalt and concrete. So if you do any work in Alexander County, 90% of our lines are directional board, so you won't have a ditch line.
That's good information. Actually, that's one of the topics that we're really wanting to focus on, maybe at the conference, is directional drilling, just helping people understand the whole concept of it and what's required by the law too. So hopefully we'll have a speaker on that one. Okay, how about Pima?
Everything's going good. We just have some, little small relocate projects, for some cities and towns throughout the area, staying on top of compliance related work, making sure everything gets done like it's supposed to.
Do you, does All Tech Directional Services do anything up in this area for you guys for Piedmont?
I'm aware of.
They were on, so another item that comes out of the LRPC, what we like to do is dig into data of companies. When you put your tickets in, you'll tell us how long is it going to take you. And if you tell us, say 1 day or less, and then you constantly update, when you kind of get on a list. And I got a list of people, I know Alltech's on here. PF Plumbing was one that we reached out to. So we say, okay, if you say your work's only going to take 1 day or less, then why are you constantly updating and updating and updating? And we're trying to dig down into the weeds and say, okay, stop updating the tickets. If you're waiting on equipment or you're waiting on supplies or you're waiting on permits, don't keep pecking away, waiting for it. So those are the type things that we try to do on a monthly basis to look at all of those and try to get them in compliance. I will tell you last month that some of the highest ticket producers were utility lines construction. They put in almost 3,000 tickets in the system because I'm telling you, Duke's got unbelievable amount of work. And of course, I know ULC has works for other entities too. That Piedmont Utility Group we were just talking about, 1,940 tickets. So we do realize that they could just be pecking away. Ansco, a lot of work for AT&T. Southeast Connections, I know they've been a contractor for all of y'all, for both of y'all. Pike, Mostech, same thing. Then we got this one group that stays on and they're kind of, that seems like the hardest nuts to crack are those that work for home builders. You know, because if I have a contractor that works for a member, I can go back to you guys and have a little reinforcement. But these folks that don't particularly work for members, they're harder to get them to come aboard. Not saying that you're one of them, but at least you're here. That's the good thing. You're here.
You feel it was.
And I appreciate that. No, we don't mean to pick on you. We just want to try to reduce some of the noise in the system so that they can help you. And I know that it seems confusing at times, but that is our ultimate goal. So, all right. So what have you got to shoot the
A
bat?
little bit of everything. Most of our stuff right now is just huge.
Okay.
We're scattered
We're
everywhere.
fortunate that a lot of the projects we got are big projects and we're getting going usually before the infrastructure gets caught up. We're putting in future conduits for so-and-so or planning for that ahead, unless there's something existing that we have to avoid. But most of our stuff, Gaston County, we're on a second big bunch of projects down there from the Apple Creek Commercial Park, which was what, a $15 or $16 million job. And now we're doing the individual building sites within there. So we've got a kind of a front door idea of what's there. Because we put in most of the water and sewer,
Gotcha.
made provisions for conduits for power. So that helps a lot. It doesn't eliminate the need to call things in, but it helps. It's not like building a subdivision where you're trying to build 50 houses and every house has got to be located for
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. But here on the city walk, on the aviation walk we're doing, we've had some interesting situations. A little frustration with the crew on lines that there were multiple cables. A lot of them were not in use. There was only one in use, but we couldn't get. It's hard to identify that one good one, so you ought to be careful about all of them. Plus, we were going from one county into the next county on the same project.
Oh, wow.
And then these were feeding an airport on top of that. So, you know, just right over here. It's-
Old construction,
Yeah.
old lines, I mean, basically a minefield.
Wow.
You know, you're having
So you got
water,
abandoned
water
stuff.
line, sewer line, cable, fiber optics, all within like a 3-foot square that you're having, or an 8-foot square that you're having to try to dig around, go through. Some of it active, some of it not active, some of it marked, some of it not marked. So,
So are y'all, I mean, I assume you guys are having,
grand digging oil.
construction meetings with the utilities. Did y'all do pre-cons and all that before y'all?
And our foremen that are out there are good, experienced guys, know a lot of locators one-on-one, so that helps a lot. Because they can say, well, no, we don't need to be up there tomorrow, but if you be up 100 feet from there Tuesday. But also the project manager we've got, who's relatively new to Neil Grading Company, is Elliot Robertson. I kind of suggested that he work with the individual, because we've got like 3 different foremen or maybe 4 on this project. And I said, why don't you take some of the load of contacting some of the utility concerns you have? Since you're on the job, you've got the plans. He's got a lot of good training for things. So to help take them from spending all day on their phone talking about something, he can call the engineer in that particular unit and find out, hey, what we do about this line or these cables or whatever. So he's kind of breaking it down a little bit from the office and taking it. He's in the field all the time. So with the guys, so that I think that helps. Plus Todd Shoebridge here's our safety manager, but I found he's pretty versed at doing a lot of stuff. Chief cook,
He always
bottle
wears a
wash,
lot of different
EMT,
hats.
fireman, whatever we need, we've got him right here.
So that's been a huge focus that we wanted to do this year, is just project management. And I come from a municipality, and to me, it was like, that was just the norm. You know, when you had something going on, you had weekly meetings. And that included all the utilities, that included the locators, that included DOT, anybody that had a stake in it. You know, the more you can, you know, keep those project meetings going, the more you can kind of see, like you said, hey, how did you know you were going to run into this?
And we do that every Friday, the
Okay.
navigation walk. It was on Wednesdays with City Walk. But again, you know as well as everybody in here, this meeting here, you don't have all the people that you need here for the meeting because they're busy or they're out of town or they got vacation or they're sick or whatever. So it's hard to get every single person to every single meeting that you need.
One of the things that I think is kind of successful, and I don't know if you even want to consider this, is I know MetroNet, and I'm not sure how they're doing it in this county since it's still pretty new.
They tore a water line out in my street.
Did they really? Well, now see, I asked you how it's going. You said good.
They've been working good with us. You didn't have anything to do with us.
Okay, how is the MetroNet? These are the things that we need to know so that we can. So what they're doing, like out in Jacksonville and out in Greenville, they're doing weekly meetings, but they're doing phone meetings, virtual meetings and different things. So they have like several different levels of meetings. So, you know, it may be if they can't meet on site, then, you know, schedule it to where they can be on a phone call while you're doing it. I mean, I don't know. You just got to figure out some form of communication and just help them to understand how vital it is to protect all these facilities out there. You got to have a strong arm out there. You just got to say, no, you're going to be on this call. Now for the right price,
And
I
you
don't have no problem getting people.
gotta realize now,
Corral.
like old users like me, I've not done anything my whole life except work for Neil Grading Company. Been there 48 years.
But you know the job.
And I started off doing outside field work when you had to call Roswell Sigmund over here at the gas company. Roswell, I'm sick. I've got a gas. Can you come locate this gas line? Or call so-and-so at the phone company or at the power
Yeah.
company. It's kind of how it's amazing. But then as you go now, things are so crazy out there. It just, I feel for my guys in the field and I don't have to, I'm not really a project manager of anything in particular right now. I just kind of take care of some little problems along the way. I go around every corner and my heart gets a pain every time I see one of those directional drills sitting on every corner in Hickory.
Yeah.
There's a daggum directional drill
I
sitting
think we all
somewhere.
do.
I said, oh God, because if you've ever had to dig up a directional drill line, it can be pretty good and it can be pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know, I had Richard, we were down at 16-150, one of the last big projects I did, that sewer project. And there was a major gas line that was like supposedly directionally drilled 25 feet deep. And we were going to be about 15 feet deep with the sewer. And he sent some guys down there and we didn't find it for sure, but we found out it was not in our way. That's what's kind of scary, yeah, because those guys, you know, go down, and I guess more of the problems I've seen is when they come up to the pull boxes, or they'll go under a driveway and they'll come up, and then it might not be quite as deep on the other side till they pick back up again and start drilling back down again.
They'll tell you it's 3 feet and it's 8 feet, or they'll tell you it's 12 feet and it's 2 feet.
Yeah,
So,
and there is no ditch line on top of it. That was the hard thing about it. You used a good man on a shovel could say, hey, here's the ditch right here, because this dirt's different color.
Yeah.
But directional drill will surprise you, but it's just what we got to deal with. It's not.
Well, I
not
mean, the
impossible,
technology
but
is
it's what it
progressive, but it's hard to keep up with the locating arm of it.
Well, then you throw in their record keeping as well.
Yeah.
So record keeping, when you come through, was a piece of paper, and now
Right.
most everything's
Oh,
on
yeah,
the computer,
Yeah.
but none of that.
Yeah.
or it actually was 8 feet deep and they've graded it off to 3
Right,
feet,
yeah.
or 4 feet, or 5 feet.
Or
and
you've
you end
got,
up-
McDonald Parkway and Tate Boulevard that they built that intersection up,
Yep.
you know, 20-some foot,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, the line was 3 or 4 foot deep back when they put it in, but now it's 8, it might be 18, it might be 20, you
Right.
know, you just,
That's why you.
And
don't
then-
get it.
the same thing, their technology is limited too. They have
Right.
great equipment to locate,
That's right.
but if something's 25 foot deep,
Well,
you
and
can't trust
that's,
the mark.
and I mean, there's
Not at all.
so many different things. I mean, mapping in itself is a key to it. You know, the utilities, the better maps they can provide, the better. So when things are dug up, what better time to either GPS it or marker balls down it? I don't know, anything that will help move the project along. Because like you said, you know, come back years later, you don't know where things are at, are they abandoned, or, you know, it's, you know, I'm sure it's scary out there. Absolutely. So my hat's off to you. I know you guys are doing a great job, but whatever we can do to help. One of the great resources too, the RTE, in that, if you're putting tickets in remotely, and just say one of your gals is doing it, there is a feature, if you're not an active RTE user and you just want to know who's in the area, so that you can make sure all those players are at the table, they can give you access to go in. You can punch in that address and then it'll pull up all the members in that area. So that might be a great tool for you. And I don't know if you're utilizing it, but we can certainly get you connected to that if you would like to. So,
Probably save a lot of time. I mean, I used to call them in myself because they always had questions. If you had a 25,000 foot water line project
mhm,
and you can't call in but a quarter mile at
quarter
a time,
mile.
inevitably the person taking the ticket on the other end will have some questions like, oh, is this intersection right here? I said, that should be on their atlas and I'd be on the plans. We'd go through there and boy, but then after the first one was done, I felt pretty good. Pass it on to the girls in the office to do the updates on time as we needed them. And some of those were,
Yeah, I mean,
Massive
do
projects
all
like
those
that are hard
tickets.
to
If
do.
you're doing multiple, do them through RTE.
yeah.
But if you're just trying to start a project and you want to know who's in the area, that feature is great. And actually how it became about is DOT was utilizing it. And, you know, I was like, what are they doing here? They're going in, they're starting all the tickets, and then they're aborting them. And we could see there was this big, huge trend of all these tickets that were being aborted. And so when I reached out to him, I'm like, what are you doing? He was like, well, I'm trying to schedule some meetings. And I, you know, went back to him and said, hey, this is a great idea. We need to utilize this feature. So we did. And so now it's available to you. If you only want to know who all the members are in the area, so you can start these project meetings, boom, you can find them.
So could you use it for a pre-bid tool? Like a project when we're going to lay a water line down this road? We come, the engineers unfortunately don't do a great job of finding or bothering to locate what's there. It's up to all utilities, contractors' responsibility.
So that feature is just for you to find out which utilities are in the area and then
Right.
how to reach out to
But
them.
not where they are.
No,
But
if
that
you're,
would help
if you're
with that.
just pre-planning, it's the design survey.
Yeah.
But the law says it can either provide you maps, provide you access, or locate. Some will provide you maps. Or you guys provide maps. A lot of times gas is Homeland Security.
Yeah,
So,
we can actually give you information, but because of security purposes, as far as lines, pressures and things like that, we don't provide maps.
so that's that's the kind of the reality, but that's the resource for that. And then if at end of the day, you absolutely want it located, just how much do they locate? Because typically when that type of ticket comes in, that member has told us that survey ticket is to go this direction. It's not to go to the locator. So that's why it never goes to the locator, because design surveys typically go to an engineer or to a dedicated person that is to respond to those. And then if it does have to be located, then they'll send it off to the locator. Just a pattern. All right, Heath, how are y'all doing? Hey, thanks for the opportunity. We've been, I know, doing some training with you guys up in Charlotte. Have y'all been a part of that or?
Yeah, I got, took over some Charlotte area too, so
Nice.
now I got 9 counties out here and then some in Charlotte too to deal with. But
Yeah.
so, yeah, for us, it's mostly, when big projects come in, we want one locator to be the point of contact. So we assign, one guy.
Nice.
That way he's on that job and stays with that contractor through the whole job. Like we got one that deals with Metronet only. And if he gets, overwhelmed, then we send help, but we try to hit Metronet when they're first called in. The day they come in, we're trying to work on them. Grading, we got out Jaren and trying to help them. And our thing is if, we're 30 minutes away anytime. So we'll be there within 30 minutes. We have to mark something, we mismark something, they can't find it. That's what we try to practice up here. That's what we want to do. We don't want no damages, but we've had some, but stuff just maybe misunderstanding on either end, but
And
we're
of course,
learning from it.
the law says if it's, just say it is mismarked, once you kind of determine, is it on the member side, the member utility side, then I'm assuming y'all are providing feedback back to Piedmont to go out there to mitigate that.
We really try to work with every contract. And the only time is if they're not here, then we got to send somebody else, but they're on vacation or something. But most time is they're gonna see the same face every time. Instead of having to deal with somebody else, we don't try to give anybody, another person their updates because it's there. They don't put the legwork in, so they
Yeah,
might as well keep.
and they know
keep
it.
with Yeah.
It's easier for them to go back out and re-update, so
That's
I
why
get it.
We're staffed up pretty good up here. We plan for Metronet. So, and it didn't come in as hard as they said it was going to, so kind of been good for us, but so.
They'll put their main stuff in first and they'll have to come back if everybody changes
Somebody
over.
wants to
They're
service,
gonna be on top of somebody else if you're gonna
Yeah.
change, because I'm already talking about changing.
yeah.
I know what's in my yard. So.
Yeah, they have a whole different team.
Yeah, they'll have a drop berry team or something come in do various drops, but yeah. But for us, it's been pretty good. I mean, we sent help, Charlotte, places like that too, so.
The interesting thing about Metronet that I've found is, Metronet calls the tickets in for the contractor.
Yeah.
But it's the contractor's ticket. So there's one person maybe with Metronet, she may have 50 logins. And she's calling in for all of these 50 different contractors, but it's in their names. And they get the tickets, but that's kind of how they're, putting their tickets in. We've had some conversation with them in that ANSCO, and I'll just use them because they're always a good example. They may have 25 contractors on the ticket. It makes it a little bit in one aspect, it's easier because they're not just dumping tons of tickets in the system. Whereas, you know, it can also be kind of cumbersome for you guys when you're trying to locate it too, because
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
mean,
well, which one is it?
They've been good with print stuff and staying on track with what their prints say.
Good.
So that's, like you were talking about bingo cable, they'll provide a print, then they get out there and there's so much stuff on this side of the road, now they want to switch to the other side of the road. Metronet's been good about that.
Well, if there's anything we can help you with, let us know. All right, we saved the best for last. How's Hickory?
Only project we have ongoing right now is the city walk. Project. And future projects, the only one I know of is 321 expansion, and I don't know when that's started.
They got widen it?
Yeah,
It's just
6 lanes.
just the ramps.
Really?
It's gonna be 2029, I think it's when they're 2027 or 2029, something like that. They pushed it back.
That much traffic come up through here?
And the project's gonna really be a disaster for people because.
Oh, yeah.
Heck, you know, worse than that 485 project around Charlotte. I mean, that thing's been going on for years and years
It's a
and
lifetime
years.
project there.
Pardon me?
It's a lifetime project there. They
Yeah.
just keep adding to
What's 150 and 77?
it. Yeah.
It's already started.
Really?
Yeah, from 77, well, all the way from 77, from 150 all the way to Highway 16.
I thought that was,
No, that's started.
that's gonna be a nightmare going
Yeah.
through Cheryl's Ford.
Yes.
But they should have done that 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's gonna be 6 lanes.
Yeah, I've seen them moving pole lines up there in Mooresville now.
Yeah, it's almost complete with that.
They're moving all their poles back, tearing a lot of buildings down that was close to the pole.